Lynchburg Foundry proudly brings you this issue of the Science Screen Report. The nation's leading independent foundry has been a growing part of the Lynchburg community since 1896. We manufacture quality engineered castings using 2800-degree molten iron and automated equipment to shape intricate parts. Chemical and physical analysis form the backbone of Lynchburg's quality control program. Precision castings are used in a variety of industrial and consumer products. Experience, technology, quality, and the Foundry's greatest asset, people, have combined to make Lynchburg Foundry the leader in its field. And now, the Science Screen Report.
The Science Screen Report, bringing you each month the latest developments in science, engineering, and medicine, made to help solve the problems of modern life. Across the world, the familiar bee plays a vital role in food production, pollinating fruit orchards as well as major food crops. Bees also produce honey and collect pollen, important sources of nutrition. At the same time, the honeybee shares with other parts of nature a potential for harm to man. Reports of the spread of so-called killer bees are one more reason for ongoing scientific research into this insect. Besides producing much of the world's sweeteners, the bee pollinates important food crops, including apples, avocados, oranges, melons, and onions. Bees also pollinate clover and alfalfa, which feed cattle and poultry. Perhaps a third of the food supply in many countries depends on the activity of bees. Because of their role in food production, bees were imported to the New World as early as 1600 AD. Today, beekeeping is an advanced science. A vital component of agricultural practice, man-made hives are trucked to orchards and grazing areas in order to multiply plant crop yields. Recent scientific efforts to improve bee culture include a special, well-rounded meal available year-round. At the Bee Laboratory in Madison, Wisconsin, experts developed this food for bees, a nutritious pollen cake made from several ingredients. Bee pollen produced during summer, combined with soy flour, some sugar, and water. The cakes are placed in the hives during late winter and early spring, stimulating more brood production, which yields a greater bee population, and so more honey and more pollination. To hold the new generation, special high-rise hives were created. Another improvement, this air blower device brushes bees aside, facilitating honey collection. Bees once spread by natural migration. Today, bee scientist Dr. Floyd Moeller packages worker bees to start hives in another part of the country, first carefully removing the valuable queen bee. Other experts are working on a new crop for future pollination by bees, the soybean. Flowering varieties seem to have more success in attracting bees. So, through plant breeding, an attractive flower will be incorporated in the hybrid soybean of the future. The use of new types of agri-chemicals has affected pollination by bees. To better understand these effects, 6 agricultural research stations are now conducting controlled experiments. At the Tucson, Arizona station, research goes on year-round in a variety of artificial environments. In this hothouse, scientists chart bee movements and other activities. Recently, bee honey analysis has proven a sensitive pollution detector. The bees unwittingly collect the pollutants deposited or absorbed on plant life as they gather pollen and nectar. At the University of California at Davis, Professor Norman Gary has devised a new way to study bee movements. The bees are first anesthetized to prevent stinging. Next, magnetic tags are attached to the insects. The colored and numbered tags allow the researchers to track the bees after they are released. All hives in the investigation area are equipped with small magnets at their entranceways. As the tagged bee reaches the hive, the metal tag is attracted to the magnet. The bee shakes off the tag and proceeds unharmed into the colony. Formerly, research bees were marked with paint, and the hives later searched, an extremely unpleasant and time-consuming task. Analysis of the record of collected tags will give data on bee flight patterns and speeds. From this information, the researchers can infer which plants and areas the bees pollinate and other facts about their foraging habits. All this research should help improve bee survival rates and pollination capabilities, resulting in increased global food outputs. Two decades ago, special problems arose when a productive but aggressive bee strain from Africa was introduced into Brazil. The new strain established wild colonies, then crossbred with local strains. The resulting Africanized bees began to spread, causing injuries and even fatalities. In 20 years, the Africanized bees have covered over half of South America and continue to move north at the rate of 600 kilometers per year, causing concern to both the public and the beekeeping industry. In response, a major Department of Agriculture research study of the Africanized bees is underway in French Guiana and Venezuela, at the top of South America. Here, Dr. Orly Taylor of the University of Kansas is striving to collect data that could lead to ways to deal with the undesirable variety. In particular, research has verified that wild swarms which land on domestic hives may Africanize those hives, making it difficult for beekeepers to manage them for both honey production and pollination of food crops. Studies of bee aggressiveness are also carried out. Dr. Taylor, an experienced researcher who has developed a limited immunity to stings, has devised ways to reduce the bee's ferocity. In planned experiments dealing with aggressiveness, he deliberately disturbs a bee colony. Studies have shown the Africanized bees give chase in larger numbers and are more aggressive than local bees, but individually are no more dangerous. The card Dr. Taylor is holding up is used to evaluate the bee's stinging tendency. Note that Africanized bees, like other bee strains, seem to prefer the dark spot. These and other tests led the experts to conclude that the Africanized bees are no more killer bees than familiar domestic honeybees. Instead, the Africanized bees' problem centers on their tendency to swarm, that is, to multiply and spread. Swarming commences when the bees first produce queen cells, potential offspring who will inherit the old hive. The queen bee and a large group of worker bees then settle elsewhere temporarily. This mass sends out scouts to locate a permanent new home, such as a hole in a tree. When located, the swarm moves to its new abode. The experts determined that Africanized bees swarm several times a year, splitting into 2 or 3 colonies each time, yielding as many as 12 colonies annually. In the same year, a domestic hive would only form 2 colonies. Moreover, the Africanized bee swarm can travel up to 60 kilometers. In some cases, swarms have colonized islands 30 kilometers from land. As colonies continue to spread, their sheer numbers will tend to increase stinging incidents and disrupt the beekeeping industry, thereby affecting agriculture. Aggression and swarming are triggered by chemical odors that are released by the bees. One research goal is to devise synthetic smell chemicals that could be used to manage the bees. This test chemical causes them to cluster and become passive, and so may aid in their control. Besides the field studies, research centers are discovering new facts to help deal with the Africanized bees. At the University of California, a system for detecting Africanization has been developed. Identification is by distinctive features. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, experts in genetics are breeding special queen bees to replace the unwanted Africanized queens. In Florida, these findings are being applied in a massive queen rearing program. The large numbers of queens bred here could be used to restore Africanized colonies to useful honey productivity. In time, these and subsequent research programs should find ways to manage the Africanized varieties, as well as promote beneficial relationships between men and bees.
Lynchburg Foundry has been proud to bring you this issue of the Science Screen Report to further your understanding of science, engineering, medicine, and technology.